Hello, my name is Mark Elliott, and today I want to demonstrate some of the abilities of SharePoint when managing projects. In this particular case, we're looking at a building or engineering project, and I'll just show you very quickly some of the features you can use to assist you, working not only within your own team, but external contractors, subcontractors, even the end clients. So without further ado, you can see we're logged on to Microsoft SharePoint site. Just expand that for you. Access through a web browser, so we can access it anywhere. We can access it in the office, out in from our homes, at a client site. As long as we have access to the internet, we can even access it from a device such as a smartphone or a tablet. We don't need to install any software as long as we've got a browser such as Chrome or Internet Explorer. First thing you'll notice is the dashboard. Now the dashboard gives us a view of how the project's going. If anyone's ever used Microsoft Project, this may look fairly familiar. I actually created this in Microsoft Project and then synchronized it with SharePoint. But the good thing about this is you don't need Project to be able to see this dashboard. In many organizations, they can't afford for every single person to have a copy of Microsoft Project on their desktop. However, by synchronizing with a copy of Microsoft Project, you can have all the tasks, you can have the timeline, such as we've got here. You can have all our tasks, and anyone who can log on to the portal will be able to look at what's happening and where the task is at any particular stage. Just clicking on one of the tasks now, you can see we've got what the actual item is, the plan date, due date, who it's assigned to, percentage complete. If we expand that, we can have more detail in the description. We can also have predecessors to any task. We can put a priority on it, state whether it's in progress. We can attach documents to it if we need to. Let's close that and go back to the dashboard. You can see here we've got the design and approval phase. We've got different phases. We can add tasks. Another cool thing is you can actually modify tasks and add tasks within SharePoint, and then when you synchronize that with Microsoft Project, it will update the Microsoft Project file. Likewise, you can make changes in Microsoft Project. So that's the first stage. If you click on Tasks and click here, once again we get that view. We can also look at it on a calendar. So changing views. You can see here the phase around the air conditioning, and if we click on that we can go into the details of that. Alright, so let's return back to that. You can have a group calendar. Now a group calendar is very good for when you're working on a collaborative project and you don't want to mix up your personal Outlook calendar with the project calendar. So you can put in things like meeting with clients, meeting with subcontractors, and anyone who is a member of this portal can log on and have a look at the calendar. By the way, with any of these you can set permissions, so you may have a particular section that you want a subcontractor to be able to look at, whereas you may want to prevent them from looking at other sections. So you can put individual permissions depending on what the need and requirements are. Next thing I want to show you is the group mailbox. So if you've ever used Outlook online, it's very, very familiar. The main difference being is the mailbox actually belongs to the project. So as you can see here, I can send from my own email address, or I can actually send from a project address. But where the email becomes very useful is being able to organize correspondence around the project. You can synchronize it with your Microsoft Outlook, and as a good practice, it's good to CC the project mailbox so that there's a correspondence record around the project. Not everyone's going to remember to do that CC though, so you can actually drag and drop in Outlook. It'll create two inboxes, and once you have those two inboxes, you can drag and drop emails into the project inbox. Makes it a lot easier if you need to come back to a project maybe 12 months later and you want to see a record of what the correspondence was, rather than trying to trawl through your inbox from 12 months ago. By clicking on Notebook, it takes us to OneNote. Now, for those who aren't familiar with OneNote, it's Microsoft's equivalent to Evernote. It's a brilliant little application. It installs on a smartphone, your desktop, or a tablet, and allows you to take notes and sort of unstructured notes. So you can add pretty much anything in there. It can be text. You can add photos in there. You can add pictures in there. You can put various sections in there. You can put web links. It's very, very flexible. I like using this for grabbing information when I'm out in the field. So I can take a photo on my smartphone and it'll synchronize with this. And within a second of taking a photo using my smartphone, say of a construction site, it'll appear in OneNote. So very valuable for sharing information with the team. Let's return back to where we were before. Here's a little list application I wrote. Now within SharePoint you can create lists. Lists can contain anything from contact details to, in this case, meeting details. It's a little bit like Microsoft Excel. You can pretty much have anything that you might want to include in a table. Where I used it here in meeting notes was I use this to record meeting sessions. So let's create a new meeting. So let's give a title, discuss installation of air conditioning. And put in the details. You can even refer to documents that may be relevant. I've got topics, so you can say, in this case it's going to be installation, and we're going to tick site work as well. And I'm actually going to specify an owner in this scenario, which will be me. You can see it's doing a lookup. How long did this meeting? So generally this would be filled out by the chairperson of the meeting. I'm going to put this as the first item. Status, I'm going to put in progress. Date discussed, it's already filled out. And the decision is basically an action. So by giving this an owner and an action, Mark, so I'm now giving Mark an action item and I click save. And this does a number of things. So you can see here I've got by date, so we've got a meeting, and basically I keep adding meeting items to the date, so I can sort it by date. I can also sort this by item as well. I can sort it by person. So here's the one I just set up. So I'm the owner of that. And I can create other views as well. I might want to see where the status of a project is. So I create a view showing me in progress, showing me new items, and excluding the ones that have already been completed. In this particular case, when I click save, it actually sends a task to me. So let me click on that. Oh, we don't have it here. It actually sends a task to me and an email reminder to let me know that I have to talk to the HVAC contractors about that project. And I can go back into the meeting notes, and this is a really good thing. I can go back in the meeting notes and it's all there available. I can look at this at any time of the day and I have no excuses for forgetting about a meeting item. If I want to put that in an email, a good way of doing that is I can export to Excel, like so. Open that in Excel. Just drag that. I don't know if you can see that appearing. So I'm now opening that in Excel, and I've got a record that I can email, copy and paste if I want to. just close that. Now, with Microsoft SharePoint, it isn't just documents. You can also have photos as well. So here I've got some photos around some sites. I think this was for an architect. You have sites as well, photos of various sites, and of course documents. Now, it wouldn't be a project without lots of documents. So the documents we've got in here, they can be Word, Excel, they can be PowerPoint, they can be CAD documents, they can be PDFs, any sort of format you can possibly imagine in terms of documentation is in there. And you can see here we've got a project outline. Now the great thing about this project outline is if I see here it's version 1, and I know if I open that project outline, so let's just do that, and you can see here it's going to open in Microsoft Word. Okay, so that's now opened in Microsoft Word, the online version. If you want to, you can open that in the full version of Word. So I'm just going to make a few changes to that document. Okay, just going to click on Edit. Oops, forgot to check it out. Let me just check it out first. Okay, so I'm going to open this document. Now it's opening in the online version of Word. You can also open it within the full version of Microsoft Word, which I'm going to do. Now, whenever I make a change to the document, it's going to update the portal. Now, this is the critical thing because currently a lot of organizations work off email or Dropbox. What tends to happen is you send a document out to someone and then someone else, and then I make a few changes, they make some changes, everyone makes some changes, and I end up with 5 different versions of the document. No one really knows which is the current one and which changes to keep or to delete. If I work out of the portal, it means that there's only ever a single copy and a trusted source of that document. Now I'm going to check this document out. This is an optional feature. What the checkout does is it basically locks the document. So if I'm working on the document, it means other people can't work over the top of me. So I'm going to make some changes to this document. I might copy this paragraph. There we go. And I'll save that. Now that's actually saving to the SharePoint site. You can see here uploading to SharePoint, as opposed to saving to my C drive. If I click on File and go Save As, you can see I've got these other locations, and that includes SharePoint. So it's saving here to Sites, which is SharePoint. Alright, so I've made all my changes, happy with how it is, and I'm now going to close the document. The first thing it prompts me to do is to check it in. Once I check in a document, it allows other users to be able to make changes. It also asks me for which version I want to call it. Now it was version 1.1. I've made a few minor changes, so we're going to rev it up to version 1.1. Okay. Now what that means is by putting in a consistent version policy, we have consistent numbers when it comes to versions throughout the organization. I'm just going to return to here, and you can see it's now revved up to version 1.1. But let's say I want to look at an earlier version, So if I click here, go to version history. See, I've now got my earlier version, the one I was just working on, and of course the version I just created with some comments in there. So I can see who made the changes, when they made the change. I can see why they made the change, and if I want to, I can actually click on this and either restore or just view an earlier version of the document. It also eliminates the clutter on the document library. So instead of having 620 versions here, we still have the versions, but they sit underneath. Now, if I want to collaborate with external parties or even internal people, I can copy this URL and email it direct to someone. I'll take them straight to the document. If it's an external party, like a subcontractor, I can actually type in their email. So if I put in, let's say Joe Blogs, and I can determine whether Joe Blogs, as you can see, Joe Blogs is outside my organization. I can give him either view rights, where he can only view the document, or even edit rights. I can put in some information, and it's going to send him an email invitation. Now, the great thing is Joe, in this case, doesn't belong to the organization. He's an external party, but he can still get access to my document, provided I give him permission, of course. Now, to authenticate, Joe will basically use a live.com account or a Hotmail account or an outlook.com account, and if he doesn't have one, he can set one up. It allows him to authenticate, and I know that it's Joe who opened it, and he isn't just emailing that out to millions of people. Something else you might have noticed is if you look at my documents, notice I've got tags on the documents. The tags basically allow me to put different qualities on documents. So you can see here, I can put in the end user customer, future reference. I can put the location. I can put multiple if it's appropriate. I can do a project manager. So I can put in the supplier who's supplying us with parts. So there's all sorts of, let me just close that. Whoops, I made a mistake. Now there's all sorts of qualities I can change. Where that's very useful is it allows me to later on be able to do a search, and you can see the search bar here. It allows me later on to be able to do a search across all sorts of projects. I might want to look at all projects that Mika Jones worked on or Joe Blogs worked on. I might want to look at projects that were completed just in Sydney. I can also do views, so if I want to look at projects by location, I can. You can see here I've just got projects by location. I can look at projects by project manager. So there's many different ways I can format my information. The last thing I wanted to show you was the approval workflow. So as you can notice, most of these documents are in draft mode. Let's say I'm happy with how my work's been going, and I decide to publish as a major version. And when it's in draft mode, I'm the only person who can see. When it's in draft mode, I'm the only person who can see the document, and my manager. But once I put it into pending mode, my manager can come along, review the document, and they can either approve or reject it. And if they approve that document, it becomes visible for everyone. It's now an official document. And you can see it's now revved up to 2.0. So when it's a major version, it's usually an improved version. It's been reviewed and approved by management. Whereas these versions like .1, .2, etc. are draft documents, so works in progress. Well, that was a quick snapshot of how you can use Microsoft Project in That was a quick snapshot of how you can use Microsoft Project. That was a quick snapshot of how you can use Microsoft SharePoint online with for project collaboration. If you'd like to know more, or if you'd like me to come in for a demonstration, please come to my email address. Please come to my website at www.markelliott.com.au, and I hope you've enjoyed this demonstration. Thank you.